The Generals of the Yang Family, Chapter 23.
And let me assure you, if you're listening, this isn't just some dusty story about ancient swords and horses.
No, not at all. It's an absolute masterclass in psychological warfare.
It really is.
It completely strips away all the modern pleasantries, right?
Right.
And it forces us to look at the raw mechanics of conflict resolution. It asks a really difficult foundational question.
Well, how do you get an adversary to surrender not just their weapons or their immediate position, but their ego? Like, how do you capture their mind and their spirit?
And to set the scene for you, we are looking at this incredible dynamic between a brilliant military commander named Yang Lulang, who is also known in the text as the sixth brother, and his subordinate, a guy named Yu Sheng.
Right. And these two, they've just achieved a massive, hard-fought victory.
They have. They have finally captured this deeply formidable, highly dangerous rebel leader named Mengliang. So, if we look at standard logic here, you execute this guy.
Or at the absolute minimum, you lock him in the deepest, darkest cell you can possibly find.
Exactly. Just so he can never hurt your people again.
Yeah, that would be the standard operating procedure for almost any military force in history. I mean, you have successfully neutralized a severe threat. The logical next step is to make sure that threat stays neutralized permanently.
But Lulang does the unthinkable here. He looks at this captured, deadly rebel warlord, and he lets him go.
He just opens the door and sets him free.
It's wild. When I was reading this, I kept thinking of it as the ultimate high-stakes catch-and-release strategy.
Catch and release. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It's like you're playing chess with someone, right?
Yeah.
And you brilliantly trap their queen. But right before you take it off the board, you slide it back over to them and say, try again.
Just to prove a point.
Yeah. You are intentionally letting them take their move back just so you can prove you can crush them even more definitively the next time.
But, we have to look really closely at the sheer calculation behind that release, because Lu Lang isn't doing this just for sport.
Right. He has a reason.
He does. He explains his reasoning very clearly to his subordinate, Yu Sheng, and Yu Sheng is just standing there completely baffled by this decision, as anyone would be.
I would be losing my mind if my boss did this.
Right. But Lu Lang explains that he just fought Mengliang in combat for dozens of rounds, and in that process, he actually developed a profound respect for the man's martial arts and his sheer capability.
He recognizes his talent.
Exactly. Lu Lang recognizes a fundamental truth of leadership that applies just as much today as it did back then, which is that true heroes, genuinely capable and highly effective individuals, they are incredibly hard to find.
Right. So he doesn't want to destroy the talent. He wants to acquire it.
Yes, his goal isn't mere capture. He doesn't want a resentful prisoner sitting in a cell, and he definitely doesn't want a dead body. He wants Mengliang to submit willingly and become a general in his own army.
So he confidently tells his subordinate, don't worry, I will capture him again.
Which is quite the statement.
Okay, but I have to stop you there and push back on this a little bit.
No.
Because reading this, it feels wildly arrogant.
It does seem that way, yes.
I mean, if you let a deadly, highly motivated rebel go, you are actively risking the lives of your own soldiers just to prove a psychological point.
It's a massive risk.
It reminds me of modern corporate poaching. Like, you don't just want a rival company's top executive to sign a contract because you back them into a legal corner, right?
Yeah. Right. You want them to genuinely believe in your company's mission so they actually perform at their best.
Exactly. But in the corporate world, if the executive goes back to their old boss, nobody dies. Here, the stakes are literal life and death. Is Lu Lang just reckless?
Well, it looks extremely reckless on the surface, I'll give you that. But this is exactly where Lu Lang's profound emotional intelligence and his strategic foresight really shine.
Okay, how so?
He is looking far beyond the immediate tactical victory. He knows that forced compliance is essentially a ticking time bomb. I mean, think about it. If he puts a sword to Mengliang's throat and forces him to swear allegiance, Mengliang will just become a sleeper agent.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, he will wait for the very first moment Lu Lang is distracted or vulnerable, and he will betray him.
Because his ego is still completely intact. Like, he still thinks he's the better man.
Precisely. To secure true, unshakable loyalty from a powerful adversary, Lu Lang needs a complete psychological victory. He needs Mengliang to realize, on a fundamental core level, that he is completely outmatched.
Not just in physical strength, but in intellect.
Right. He has to break the man's entire operating system.
So how do you completely break the mind of a warlord? I mean, you have to know exactly what makes him tick, right?
We really do.
And this leads us to Lu Lang's first elaborate setup. Let's call this the trap in the sky. Because Lu Lang knows that Mengliang needs to be mentally broken, he doesn't use standard military tactics. He designs a trap that weaponizes Mengliang's own personality traits against him.
Yeah, Lulang basically starts by building a psychological profile of his target. He assesses Mengliang as physically strong, undeniably brave, but severely lacking in strategic patience.
There's a great quote in the text for this, isn't there?
Yes. The text uses this brilliant phrase, which translates to Mengliang being oligarchic in council.
I love that phrase so much. Oligarchic in council. It basically means like he doesn't take advice and he doesn't think ahead. He's entirely reactive, just hot-tempered.
Exactly. He is a man of action, not a man of reflection. So Lulang uses that reactivity. He picks an area 5 miles south of Jiashan, and this is an area known for having incredibly steep cliffs and absolutely no traversable roads.
A literal dead end.
Right. So he sends his cavalry to Hai and cut off the only exit, but the brilliant part is the bait he uses. He disguises 5 of his own soldiers as innocent civilian woodcutters and just places them deep in this ravine.
And then Lu Lang goes out and purposefully provokes Mengliang. Like they clash briefly, and then Lu Lang fakes a sudden panic.
He just bails.
Yeah, he drops his helmet, abandons his horse, and literally runs away on foot up a steep mountain.
And Mengliang, who is completely true to that profile of being oligarchic in council, he doesn't pause for a single second.
Not 1 second.
No, he doesn't stop to consider if the guy who just beat him yesterday is suddenly a coward today. He just sees his enemy running, his temper flares, he jumps off his own horse, grabs his giant axe, and chases Lulang right into this steep ravine.
Which springs the trap.
Right. The hidden cavalry blocks the exit, the drums start pounding, and Mengliang realizes he is boxed in. He is forced to flee deeper into the ravine, where he stumbles right into those 5 disguised woodcutters.
And Mengliang is desperate at this point. He begs these quote-unquote civilians for help. He's offering them gold and pearls if they can just show him a secret way out.
And the fake woodcutters, they play their part flawlessly.
They really do. They're like, sure, we can haul you up the cliff face. Just tie this thick hemp rope around your waist.
It's amazing.
So this terrifying, highly lethal warlord ties a rope around his waist. They pull him halfway up the side of this massive cliff.
And then they just stop.
Yes, they just tie their end of the rope to a thick vine and walk away. They leave him there, just dangling in midair.
It's brutal.
It's like a medieval fishing scam. Like, Lu Lang completely hacked his temper. But I have to ask you about the mechanics of this because it seems almost needlessly theatrical.
How so?
Well, if your goal is to capture him again, why leave him dangling in a giant wedgie from a cliff? Why not just have the woodcutters pull him all the way to the top, jump him, and tie him to a tree?
Because if they pull him to the top and tie him to a tree, that is just another physical capture.
Okay.
It doesn't achieve the psychological break that Lulang is after. I mean, think about what dangling in midair actually does to a person whose entire identity is based on physical dominance. It entirely strips away Mengliang's physical agency.
Right. I mean, he can't swing his axe at the wind.
Exactly. He has this massive weapon, he has all these muscles, he has a fearsome reputation, but suspended 50 feet in the air, just spinning slowly against a rock face, all of that strength is utterly, completely useless.
Wow. Yeah.
It is designed to be deeply, fundamentally humiliating. It forces Mengliang into a sudden identity crisis. He has to sit there, dangling helplessly, and realize that his brawn was just effortlessly swatted aside by someone else's brains.
And right on cue, Lu Lang arrives at the top of the cliff, looks down at him, and asks, "I've captured you in the sky. Do you submit?"
The ultimate flex.
But this is where the human ego is so fascinating to me, because Mengliang actually refuses.
He does.
It's hanging there, completely helpless, and he yells up that it was a trick. He claims it wasn't a fair fight, and he demands to be let down so they can have a real battle on the ground. Like, his ego survived the humiliation by rationalizing it as cheating.
Which perfectly proves that humiliation alone only breeds resentment. It doesn't breed loyalty.
Right.
Lu Lang's first psychological profile was accurate, but the treatment wasn't severe enough to break the core ego. So Lu Lang lets him down. But because Lu Lang understands human nature so well, he knows exactly what Mengliang is going to do next.
Which is?
Well, he knows that after being publicly humiliated like that, Mengliang is absolutely not going to honor his word and fight a fair, open duel.
Oh, of course not.
His pride is too damaged. He has to overcompensate.
So he's going to pivot to something underhanded to try and reclaim his dignity.
Exactly.
And this takes us to the second phase of the strategy, the trap in the earth. Because to truly break him, Luling has to prove that even Mengliang's desperate secret backup plans are completely predictable.
Yes, Lu Lang tells his subordinate, he says, Mengliang won't dare fight openly again. He's gonna try a night raid.
He calls it perfectly.
He knows Mengliang will try to assassinate him under the cover of darkness to just erase the shame of the cliff. So Lu Lang prepares for exactly that. He digs a pit, about 5 to 6 feet deep, directly in the entryway of his own command tent.
Just right in the front door.
Right there. And he covers it carefully with floating wood and dirt to completely disguise it. Then he hides his entire army far away from the camp, leaving only a tiny handful of men nearby.
The scene that follows is just incredible. It's the middle of the night. The camp is completely dead quiet. Mengliang sneaks in with his men, expecting to find this sleeping, vulnerable army.
Right.
But instead, he peers into the main command tent and sees Luling Hitler there, wide awake, completely alone, just calmly reading a book by candlelight.
It's such a striking image.
It reminds me of watching an elite NBA player, like a Steph Curry, shoot a three-pointer. And before the ball even gets close to the hoop, he turns around and starts jogging back on defense.
Oh, that's a perfect comparison.
It's this display of absolute terrifying inevitability. I mean, sitting right behind a flimsy, disguised pit while a raging warlord charges at you with an axe, the confidence is staggering.
It really is. And that analogy of the athlete turning away is perfect, because by sitting there calmly reading a book, Lu Lang is broadcasting a devastating psychological message.
That's the message.
He's essentially saying, you are so basic, you are so entirely predictable that your secret assassination plot doesn't even warrant me putting down my evening reading.
Wow.
It is the ultimate display of intellectual dominance.
And Mengliang takes a bait again. He sees Luling, screams, "Don't run," charges into the tent with his giant axe, and falls horse and all straight through the floating wood and into the pit.
The trap in the earth.
Yes, and then hooks are instantly thrown down to secure him, and his entire force of 2,000 men is surrounded and captured without a single casualty.
Yeah.
Just total, absolute defeat on the ground, just like he asked for.
And this brings us to the most critical moment of the entire narrative.
Okay, lay it on me.
Mengliang is dragged out of this hole. He's covered in dirt, totally defeated. Lu Lang looks at him, points out that Mengliang simply cannot escape his, quote, divine calculations. And then Lu Lang offers him his freedom.
And that is the moment that finally breaks him. But let's dig into the why here. Because why does this offer of release completely shatter Mengliang's resistance when dangling from a cliff didn't?
It really comes down to cognitive dissonance.
Okay, unpack that for me.
Well, Mengliang's entire worldview, like his internal operating system, is built on the concept that might makes right. In his world, when you defeat an enemy, you crush them, you execute them.
Right, that's the rule of the game.
So, as he is pulled from that pit, his brain is entirely prepared for execution. He is bracing for violence. But instead of violence, he is met with radical, unearned grace.
It's a complete short circuit of his reality.
Exactly. The traps, the cliff in the sky, and the pit in the earth, they proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that Mengliang was outmatched intellectually.
He can't claim it was a trick anymore?
No, he can no longer rationalize it. He was just outsmarted twice in a row. But the repeated offer of grace proves something much heavier. It proves he is outmatched morally and spiritually.
Oh, wow.
He realizes Lu Lang operates on a plane of leadership he didn't even know existed. The contrast between his own violent ego and Lu Lang's calm mercy is just, it's too great. His ego collapses under the weight of it.
So he just gives up.
He drops to his knees, calls Lu Lang a divine being, and pledges his unconditional loyalty. He just stops fighting the reality in front of him.
He didn't just concede the argument to make it stop. He fundamentally changed his belief system, which is amazing. But it also begs a massive question for anyone listening. I mean, digging pits, staging fake retreats, hiring actors to play woodcutters. This is an unbelievable amount of effort, time, and risk just to change the mind of one single guy.
It is a lot of work.
Why go through all of this?
Because winning true loyalty creates a network effect. When you force compliance, you get one reluctant worker. But when you completely win the mind of a leader, you inherit their entire ecosystem.
And the domino effect of this submission is immediate, right?
Oh, absolutely. The very next morning, Mengliang proves his new worldview by going back and bringing 16 of his own chieftains to surrender to Lu Lang.
16. That's a huge shift.
It really is. I mean, the source actually lists them all out to emphasize the scale.
Oh, wow. Like who?
Well, there's Lu Chao, Zhang Gai, Guan Po. and Guanjun, Wang Dian, just basically the entire middle management layer of the enemy army defects willingly.
It is a staggering influx of talent and resources, and all because Lu Lang took the time to do the hard work of winning one mind.
It is a massive strategic triumph. But as is often the case in leadership, solving one massive problem immediately opens the door to an even greater, seemingly impossible challenge.
Oh, there's always a bigger fish.
Always. Because at the victory banquet, while everyone is celebrating this massive expansion of their forces, Mengliang leans over to his new boss, Lu Lang, and essentially says, "If you think I was tough to catch, there is someone else you need to meet."
Right, Mengliang tells him about this guy named Zhao Zan. Now, Zhao Zan lives on the treacherous Bojiao Mountain, which is about 60 miles away.
Right.
And the text describes this guy like an absolute monster.
It's a terrifying description. He has a face the color of red earth.
Okay, intimidating.
Yeah, and eyes like copper bells, bulging blue veins, just, countless muscles.
So basically the Hulk.
Pretty much. And he wields this massive, solid iron hammer. And Mengliang, who just yesterday was the scariest guy in the room, says Zhao Zan is, quote, unmatched by 10,000 men.
10,000 men. So Mengliang advises Lu Lang that to deal with someone this stubborn and this dangerous, they are going to need to mobilize a massive army.
And this is where Lu Lang's strategic evolution reaches its absolute peak. Mengliang, his new loyal general, is giving him logical military advice, right? Use overwhelming force.
Which makes sense against a guy with an iron hammer on a mountain.
But Lu Lang refuses. He says he is not going to take an army to Bayao Mountain. Instead, he decides to go personally, bringing nothing but blank official commissions.
Blank commissions. I read that and had to do a double take. I mean, we just spent this whole time dissecting these incredibly complex physical traps, hiding cavalry, digging pits, deploying fake woodcutters.
Yeah.
And now he wants to go face a literal giant with an iron hammer armed only with sincerity.
That's the plan.
It's like a CEO walking into a hostile corporate merger meeting with a notoriously aggressive cutthroat rival, leaving all the corporate lawyers at home and just walking in with a blank check and a friendly smile.
It sounds like suicide.
It really does.
It sounds completely absurd if you view strategy as a static set of rules. But if we look at the psychology behind it, it makes perfect sense.
Okay, explain that to me, because I'm not seeing it.
Well, Lu Lang doesn't use the same tool for every job. He has already proven he can outsmart a reactive opponent like Mengliang. But Zhao Zan is different. Zhao Zan is a defensive powerhouse sitting on a mountain fortress.
Right.
If you bring an army to a man who respects strength and expects a fight, you just trigger his defensive instincts. You create a siege that could last for years.
You're just playing his game.
Exactly. So Lu Lang shifts to an entirely different, higher level of leadership. Radical vulnerability and unearned trust.
Wow.
His reasoning is literally, I treat people with sincerity and trust, why use an army?
That is so profound.
It is. If you approach a hyper-defensive, armored opponent by handing them a blank commission, essentially saying, I trust you so much, I am letting you write your own job description and set your own terms, you bypass their armor entirely.
Oh, I see.
It disarms them in a way that weapons or intellectual traps never could.
It's the ultimate pattern interrupter.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really swing an iron hammer at a guy who's handing you a blank piece of paper and asking for your help.
Precisely. Lu Lang is adapting his persuasion technique to the specific psychological architecture of his target.
That is brilliant. The scene shifts. We are at Bajau Mountain, or Banana Mountain.
Banana Mountain.
Yang Lulong. And he has just been appointed as a patrol inspector at the Jiashan camp.
Which is a big deal for him. I mean, he finally has some real institutional backing.
Right.
He has a camp, he's got a deputy named Yu Sheng, and he has a mandate to secure this highly volatile border region.
But, I mean, instead of sitting behind his newly fortified walls and just issuing orders, Lu Lang does something totally baffling.
Yeah, he really does.
He leaves the safety of the camp to his deputy and rides out with a grand total of 3 cavalrymen.
It's just 3 guys.
3 guys. Right. Against an entire mountain of entrenched outlaws.
It's insane.
Right. Because his goal is to recruit this fiercely brave, notoriously dangerous outlaw named Zhao Zan.
Which is quite the recruitment strategy.
Right. And when I was reading the sources for you guys today, I couldn't help but picture a modern equivalent to this.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
It's like a CEO deciding to execute a hostile takeover by walking into a rival's headquarters completely unarmed.
Oh, wow.
Trusting, like, a random guy sweeping the lobby to show him to the boardroom and just relying entirely on sheer charisma to walk out alive.
That is a perfect analogy, actually.
Because when Lulang gets to the mountain pass, he meets this strange-looking guy dressed as a woodcutter.
Mm-hmm.
And Lulang is incredibly polite, introduces himself, states his exact mission, and then just blindly follows this woodcutter deep into the towering stone cliffs and thick forests of bandit territory.
Right, into the absolute worst place he could go.
Yeah. So, I mean, is this tactical brilliance on Lulang's part, or is it just extreme, almost suicidal arrogance?
Well, so the woodcutter disguise is actually a massive literary trope in these classic texts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it serves as a very specific test of character. I mean, Lulang isn't just looking for a strong arm to hold a sword. He is actively utilizing his own vulnerability as a recruitment tool.
Wait, vulnerability? Like, on purpose?
Exactly, because in the hierarchy of outlaw culture, bureaucratic caution, staying behind your camp walls and just sending a messenger, that's a sign of weakness.
Ah, I see.
Outlaws don't respect official titles, right? They respect skin in the game.
Right.
So Lulang essentially has to strip away his imperial protection and show that he operates on their level of physical bravery. Because if he doesn't, they will never follow him.
He's showing his throat to prove he isn't afraid of the teeth.
That's a great way to put it.
But the gamble goes spectacularly wrong almost immediately.
Oh, yeah. Instantly.
Because the woodcutter leaves him outside a cave, claiming he's, going in to announce the commander's arrival.
Standard protocol.
Right. But suddenly, dozens of bandits just swarm out. They tackle Lulang, tie him up, and drag him inside the cave.
And this is where the tone completely shifts.
Yes, because this is where the gritty realism vanishes and the story takes a hard left turn into the supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
Because the bandit leader sitting on the throne inside the cave is the woodcutter himself. It's Zhao Zhan.
The guy he was just talking to.
Exactly.
And Zhao Zhan just completely drops the disguise and openly mocks Lulang's vulnerabilities.
Just rubs it in his face.
Right. He tells him, in no uncertain terms, you brought this death upon yourself.
Yeah.
And then Zhao Zhan goes on this terrifying boast about how many great heroes' hearts and livers he has consumed.
Ugh, so gruesome.
It is. And he orders his men to string Lulang up so he can butcher him personally. The physical trap has been sprung perfectly.
But Lulang remains entirely unfazed by the threat of being eaten.
Which is wild.
He's tied up, staring down a literal cannibalistic bandit.
Yeah.
And he just states completely calmly that a great man views death as returning home.
Just total ice in his veins.
Right. And then the blade is about to fall.
Yeah.
And the magic happens.
Yes.
Black energy physically rises from Lulang's head and coalesces into this roaring, tail-wagging tiger with a white forehead.
Just a giant energy tiger.
Out of nowhere. And Zhao Zhan is terrified. He takes one look at this tiger, realizes Lulang is a divine general, and instantly unties him.
And bows in total submission.
Total submission. And to top it all off, Lulang casually hands him a blank official certificate, granting this cannibal a legitimate government rank.
Just incredible. The power dynamic in that cave inverts in like a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
The predator becomes the subordinate and the captive becomes the master.
Okay, I have to challenge this whole sequence, though.
Sure, go for it.
From a storytelling perspective, doesn't this feel like a massive cheat code? Like, Lulang doesn't use his martial arts, he doesn't use his wits or his tactical training to escape. A magic tiger just pops out of his skull and basically hits the win button.
Yeah, it does seem that way.
It completely undercuts the idea that he was being brave. Because if I walked into a bandit camp knowing I had an invincible magic tiger living inside my head, of course I wouldn't be afraid.
Well, I totally get why you'd say that. And if we look at this purely through the lens of like modern action movies where the hero has to physically punch their way out of a problem, it absolutely feels like a cheat code.
Right.
But the mechanics of power in this text operate on the ancient Chinese concept of the Shenjiang, or the divine general.
Okay, the divine general. Unpack that for us.
So in this cosmology, supreme leadership isn't just about physical superiority. There is always someone out there who is a faster swordsman or a more brutal fighter, right?
There's always a bigger fish.
Exactly. And Zhao Zhan would never submit simply because Lulang beat him in a fistfight.
He'd just hold a grudge.
Right. He would just hold a grudge and wait for a moment of weakness to strike back.
So the tiger isn't a weapon then. It's a credential.
That is the perfect way to understand it. Yes. The black tiger aura is the universe itself confirming Lulang's mandate. Outlaws like Zhao Zhan, who live completely outside the laws of men, are actually highly attuned to the laws of heaven. They don't submit to state bureaucracy, but they will absolutely submit to cosmic destiny.
Ah, I see.
The tiger proves that Luling isn't just some guy with a government job. He is an anchor point for the universe's design.
Okay.
So to kill him wouldn't just be murder, it would be a rebellion against the cosmos itself.
That makes the next move even more fascinating, honestly.
The certificate?
Yeah, because the universe provides this grand cosmic ID card, but Lu Lang immediately follows it up with the most earthly, mundane, bureaucratic thing possible. A piece of paper.
Right.
The blank official certificate. But I mean, let's pause and look at the morality of that for a second.
Okay.
Because he just watched this guy brag about eating human livers, and his response is to hand him a blank check for a government job.
Yeah, it's pretty dark.
Isn't that just horrific imperial corruption? How is the state justifying bringing a literal monster into the fold?
Well, it reveals a very pragmatic, almost ruthless philosophy of statecraft.
Ruthless is right.
The state, particularly in these frontier borderlands, they just cannot afford ideological purity.
Right.
Chaotic, violent energy exists, and the Empire's goal isn't necessarily to eradicate that energy, which is usually impossible and always expensive, but to monopolize it.
To own it.
Exactly. By handing Zhao Zhan that blank certificate, Lu Lang is performing an act of political alchemy.
Oh, I like that phrase, political alchemy.
Right. He is taking an untamed, destructive force that threatens the state and instantly reorienting it to face outward toward the Empire's enemies.
So he's basically buying the monster and putting him on a leash.
Precisely. And the brilliance of the blank certificate is that it offers the one thing Zhao Zhan could never achieve through violence.
Like jizz.
Legitimacy.
Yeah.
He goes from being a hunted animal to a sanctioned official in a single pen stroke.
Wow.
The magic tiger secured the spiritual submission, but the bureaucratic paperwork secures the earthly integration. It's a masterclass in co-opting chaos.
That's incredible. And we see the immediate geopolitical results of this unconventional brotherhood.
Very quickly, yeah.
Right after Zhao Zhan submits, a rescue party arrives at the cave. It's led by Lu Lang's cautious deputy, Yu Sheng, and another former bandit, Mengliang.
Right.
And they show up outside the cave with beating drums and gongs, ready for a total massacre. And what do they find?
A dinner party.
A dinner party. Lu Lang and his brand-new cannibal-turned-general happily having a feast together.
It's so good.
And then they burn down the bandit cave, which is, symbolically turning to ash their outlaw past and return to the camp.
And the integration doesn't stop at the local level either. Lu Lang scales this way up.
Right, he goes to the top.
He petitions Emperor Zenzong directly, and with the backing of a key court official, Ku Zun, the emperor formally sanctions this entire wild operation.
Amazing.
Lu Lang gets promoted to chief commander of pacifying the three passes, and Zhao Zhan, Yu Sheng, Mengliang, and 15 others are officially made vice commanders.
It's basically the historical epic version of getting the band together, but overlaid with this incredibly rigid imperial framework.
Yeah, exactly.
They recruit even more fierce fighters, men like Chen Lin and Chai Gan, and they raise this massive Golden Yang family flag over the pass.
The famous flag.
Right. And according to the sources, the mere presence of this flag terrifies the foreign enemies so much that they actually ease their attacks on the border. The state essentially weaponized the outlaws' terrifying reputation.
Because, think about it, the polished, highly disciplined imperial soldiers were predictable.
Right.
The foreign enemies knew exactly how to fight them. But an army of sanctioned, disciplined outlaws led by a divine general.
That's terrifying.
It's a massive psychological deterrent. The Golden Yang family flag represents the successful rebranding of rogue, unpredictable danger into a unified shield for the empire.
A shield, yeah.
The state needed the outlaws' terrifying nature just as much as the outlaws needed the state's legitimacy.
But, that massive golden shield they built over the border couldn't protect the commander from his own internal ghosts.
No, it couldn't.
Because just as they reach the absolute pinnacle of their military success and public glory, the narrative takes a really sharp emotional dive.
It's a huge shift.
It is. It's August, the Mid-Autumn Festival.
Yeah.
The commanders are gathered in the camp. They're drinking wine, gazing up at the beautiful moon. The text even features this gorgeous classic poem about the cold autumn green, the crystal palace, and wanting to ride the wind. It's this moment of aesthetic perfection.
And then,
And then, half drunk, Lu Lang suddenly starts weeping. He brings the entire celebration crashing down.
Yeah, and the timing of that feels incredibly jarring to a modern reader.
Very jarring. Like, why ruin the victory party?
Exactly. But Lulang reminds everyone of a trauma that precedes all of their current success, which is the blood feud with the northern foreigner.
Oh, right.
His father, Lord Yang, died in battle at Huiyuan Valley, and his unrecovered bones are buried under the Liling Monument, deep inside hostile enemy territory.
Right. So Lu Ling tells his commanders that his heart is heavy because he lacks a trusted, like, heart and soul confidant who can undertake this insanely dangerous mission to retrieve his father's bones.
Yeah.
He needs to bring them back to fulfill his duty as a son.
Right.
But Yu Sheng, the traditional military deputy, immediately steps in as the voice of operational logic.
As he should.
As he should. He tells Lu Ling that the mission is tactical suicide right now. The roads are swarming with enemies. They just secured the border, and they need to wait a few years until the geopolitical situation shifts.
Which makes perfect sense.
It makes perfect sense. But Lu Ling is so heartbroken by this logical answer that he cancels the feast entirely.
Yeah.
And we really need to dig into the why here. Why does an unburied father completely negate the fact that he just secured the empire's border?
Because in this worldview, geopolitics and spiritual cosmology are not separate spheres. They're the same thing. We have to look deeply into the cultural mechanics of filial piety, or xiao.
Right, filial piety.
It is fundamentally misunderstood if we just view it as, like, respecting your parents. In ancient Chinese cosmology, the ancestors are not gone. They are active participants in the unseen world.
Active participants, wow.
Yeah. They hold sway over the fortune, the health, and the legitimacy of the living family.
Okay, so if the bones are missing.
Exactly. An ancestor whose bones are abandoned in foreign soil without the proper rites and offerings is essentially a hungry ghost.
A hungry ghost.
They cannot take their rightful place in the spiritual hierarchy to patronize their descendants.
So it's not just a matter of personal grief for Lu Ling. It's an active spiritual crisis.
An existential one, really.
Yeah.
Lulang can have all the golden flags and imperial titles in the world, but if his father's bones remain desecrated, his spiritual foundation is entirely rotten. He is failing at the most fundamental cosmic duty of a son. And this creates an unresolvable tension between Yu Sheng's military logic, which, by the way, is entirely correct. Sending a guy into Huiyuan Valley is a terrible military idea.
Right. Terrible idea.
And Lu Ling's absolute moral duty.
So Yu Sheng is managing the physical border, but Lu Ling is agonizing over the spiritual border.
Exactly.
And this clash creates a massive void in the camp. The commander is openly begging for a miracle, and the institutional soldiers are telling him to, look at the spreadsheets and wait.
Right. Be practical.
Be practical.
Yeah.
But that void is filled in the dead of night by the most unlikely candidate imaginable.
Mengliang.
Mengliang.
One of the very outlaws they just integrated into the army.
Exactly. And the text highlights a crucial piece of backstory here, which is that Lu Ling had previously spared Mengliang's life 3 distinct times.
Wow, 3 times.
3 times. So Mengliang is sitting at that awkward ruined feast, listening to his invincible commander cry. And Mengliang processes the situation entirely differently than Yu Sheng.
Yeah, he does.
He realizes that no one else in the camp dares to undertake this mission. And to repay the ultimate life debt he owes to Lu Ling, he has to be the one to do it.
Because Mengliang doesn't operate on military logic. He operates on an outlaw's code of honor.
Right.
He doesn't file a mission plan, he doesn't request a battalion, and he certainly doesn't ask for permission from the new bureaucratic structure.
He simply sneaks out of the camp in the middle of the night, heading entirely alone into the deadly Huiyuan Valley to steal back the bones of Lord Yang.
And the reaction of the camp the next morning is incredibly telling.
It really is, because when they discover Mengliang is missing, the other commanders, the proper soldiers, they immediately assume the absolute worst.
Oh, of course.
They conclude that his untamed bandit nature has returned, and he has obviously defected to the enemy.
It just exposes the sheer fragility of the institutional mindset.
Yeah, big time.
I mean, they are perfectly happy to use the bandits to terrify the enemy, but the moment something inexplicable happens, they fall right back on their prejudices.
Yeah.
They see a rough, unpolished exterior and immediately assume betrayal. They literally cannot comprehend a loyalty that operates outside of direct orders.
It's the ultimate irony of the entire story.
It really is.
The disciplined, good soldiers make the logical, institutionally sound choice to do absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But the rogue former bandit is the only person who actually embodies the extreme, self-sacrificing loyalty that the commander was weeping for.
And this is where Lu Lang's true brilliance as a leader shines.
Also,
When the entire camp is accusing Mengliang of treason, Lu Lang shuts them down. He defends the absent outlaw.
wow.
He tells his officers that while Mengliang may be rough around the edges, he possesses an iron will and would never betray them.
Lu Lang sees the core of the man, not the polished resume.
Exactly.
The institutional soldiers only see the broken rules,
Yeah.
but the true leader sees the soul.